Hi, folks. Back again with the ancient cosmology, cosmography, cartography, geography. See, this is some Shinto art that I thought might be a map. And it's such a small, shitty image, unfortunately, but I was thinking this might be the northeast corner of Britain, and this might be Shetland and the Faroes. Not totally sure about that. Would be well, something like this. It would be like that this guy, like this part would be this part would be this part would be this part. These parts would be up here, etc., and then this part up here that's like a bird or something would be the Faroe Islands here somehow. Like this little connecting part would be this part, and then these wings would be like this and that. So who knows? Possibility. This is a book. I'm not sure exactly the title of it, but it seems to confirm my theory or corroborates my theory that Osiris is Afro-Eurasia, and the so-called like death of Osiris is referring to trauma caused to Afro-Eurasia. The history of the dismemberment and resurrection of Osiris commemorates a great catastrophe in the solar system by which our half of the globe was wrecked, its civilization destroyed, and the wretched survivors left to lead a solitary existence in utter isolation from the rest of mankind until the voyage of Columbus in the 15th century. So I guess they're referring to America. I'm not sure. I should find out who wrote this book and what hemisphere they live in. So if they're referring to America, I'm not sure if that's really the message of the Osirian cycle, but at least they're closer to the truth than the governments of and the universities of Egypt and Britain and the US are. Let's see, this is... Oh yeah, that was I'm watching this Chinese show, and so it confirms my theory about the yin-yang symbol, that it's the underworld and the overworld, the two, dividing the planet in half. And so whichever side you live on is the upper world, the yang, and whatever side is the opposite side is the yin. And then they associate, them with a bunch of shit, like yang is like masculine, good, yin is like feminine and bad. So I don't know if that's a later system. It seems like it's might be largely just from Hinduism and Zoroastrianism, of like really demonizing, villainizing the underworld. Although some of that was quite early, like the Sumerian battles between Kur and Enki and whatnot. So yeah, what do they say? I think it's like the beginning of the world was Tao. Tao gives birth to yin and yang, separates the clear and turbid. This creates two realms of the celestial and the devil. So it's not really the celestial per se, but the upper and the lower is what they're saying of Earth, that Earth is divided. So neither of them are really celestial, although they're both associated with certain asterisms. So, and the modern yin yang symbol is just only invented in the 60s. It's like everything we think we know is a fucking lie. We're like, oh yeah, look at this ancient symbol from China. No, it was invented in the 1960s. So these are like older ones that are from, 1,000 years ago, just not very long historically speaking. So this one, they're similar, but they're not the modern yin yang symbol. And let's see, this was, it seemed that in the Book of Two Ways that it might have been referring to, Okinawa as the oh yeah, here's a very early kind of yin yang symbol. So it's showing like the upper world and the lower world, like the world of night and the world of day. It's showing that like whenever there's nighttime in one hemisphere, there's daytime in the other hemisphere. So it's basically the eastern and western hemispheres. And then the rest of these are probably celestial, like this is probably like the planets or something. All right, so not sure where but anyway, so like I've shown previously, like the avatar that seems to correspond to Okinawa, and it's like, very ancient 5,500-year-old avatar and some slightly younger. But anyway, in the Book of Two Ways, it seemed like in that region, it makes references that seem like they may be referring to that figure as representing Thoth or Jehudi, who is the planet Mercury. And it refers to the one whose face is on his knee. So I zoomed in on the knee of that, of what seemed to be the knee of Okinawa. And I found this. So that was what that could be referencing, that this is why he's called the one whose face is in his knee. Of course, this is the nose, this is the forehead, this is the mouth, the, chin. Let's see, the islands. New Guinea. Well, let's see. Let's look at this. Here's just a comparison I made, trying to combine a bunch of these into one, because, use just a chunk of this 5,500-year-old Hierakonpolis Tomb 100 map and try to do a bunch of comparisons together. So here it has Jamaica here. Jamaica is kind of the most tenuous one. Like the only thing that really matches well is like that it kind of has like a big chest here. But yeah, it's not super obvious, that one. But other than just where it's situated, that it's like basically has to be Jamaica. And then Cuba, like this is the orange part here is like the Yucatan Peninsula, I believe, and Gulf of Mexico. Cuba here, with its like more downward pointing nose and its horns and its distinctive back legs that curl around, like it's part of Cuba. Bahamas, this distinctive circular shape, and then all these different islands around it that are shaped more or less like goats. And then Pico of the Azores, which is kind of shaped like someone with a big ass. And then Madeira, which is kind of shaped like some kind of animal that's like turning, its head is like turning around to look backwards. And then this, Desertus Islands being the spear that's like, you know, is being speared by. And so yeah, there you go. It's kind of not the best image probably on this camera phone, whatever, but you can see that more or less. And what else do we got? Here's another one where I'm showing this one where I'm not sure if this is Shumshu and Paramushir or if it's Urup or whatever this is, or both. So that somehow she might represent both of these, and I think she might also represent Isis, i.e. Venus rising, and then this seems to represent Ma'at, who's like Venus overhead, and then this figure seems to represent these islands. I'm not sure what they're called either. I forget what they're called. And then this seems to be Kamchatka Peninsula here that comes out from Siberia. This part here seems to be that. And then Japan, the Japanese archipelago, including Sakhalin, this Russian island, Siberian island, seem to be these 4 ibexes or something. So this would be that one. So I'm not sure if it's face. This whole thing could be its face. Like this could be its chin. And then the part here would be this front leg, hoof or whatever. Or it could be something else. Yeah, I'm not sure. That could be it. This one, Hokkaido. It's hard to exactly figure it out other than the front hoof that sticks forward is this peninsula here that sticks forward. And then this one seems to be the big island Honshu. And it is maybe somewhat longer than the rest of these, and it has like a tail and stuff. So I'm guessing that's all of this, unless somehow they break it into 2, but I'm thinking that's all of it. And then Kyushu would be, and then maybe Honshu's back leg that comes down here would be Shikoku there. And then this back ibex would be Kyushu there, that kind of has like an indent in it, like it kind of, there's a big bay right there and it kind of goes that way. So there's that. Let's see, here's another comparison of Sulawesi, Indonesia, where it shows the head, Zamboanga. I think it's called Zamboanga Peninsula here on Mindanao Island, and then here's so that's his head here, Zamboanga, and then his front haunches and feet, ginormous feet, are Sulawesi of Indonesia. And so yeah, most of his body is the Philippines. The front part, this solid part, is like Mindanao. This broken up part is like the Visayas and etc. in there. And then seems somewhat more solid back here. That might be Luzon. And then I'm guessing the back feet are actually Taiwan. And this is just the little islands between Taiwan and Luzon. And then these 6 dots are just there, one, two, three, there's those three islands, and then they're either, the kind of corresponding islands up here, some of which are not even visible on this map, or, it could even be that there are these three islands down here and that somehow they're just pulled together for this image. Who knows? So that's like a 30,000-year-old thing, potentially between 15 and 30,000 years old, from France. So, and like the okay, let's just go one by one here. So this is like one of the oldest cave paintings on Earth. I think it's potentially 60,000 years old, and it's from there. It's from this island. That's where the oldest art on Earth that we know of, the oldest human paintings exist, right there on an island. So obviously they were done by sailors 60,000 years ago, or, a civilization that was maritime navigators. So I was thinking it could be Australia, that even though it doesn't really fit for this part of Australia, but maybe it's, since a lot of these ancient avatars just focus on certain distinctive parts of islands, that maybe it's focusing more on this part, and that this thing is Cape York, and that these front legs are, these parts